against climate change. The mostly teenage protesters marched with banners reading "Save Our Future." Well, despite 3 decades of warnings, carbon dioxide emissions hit record levels in 2017 and again last year. Loading the atmosphere with greenhouse gases at current rates will eventually lead to an uninhabitable planet. Well, the movement started in August 2018 when 16-year-old Swedish climate activist, that's Greta Thunberg, began protesting outside her parliament on school days. She has since been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, for more on this story, we're now joined on the line by Makoma Lekalakala, Earthlife Africa Director. Good afternoon, Makoma, and thank you so much for joining us on the SABC News Desk this Saturday afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers.
Tell me, how difficult has it been up to now to leverage the political will on the continent that we need to end climate change effectively?
The scientists have spoken, and we cannot alter science at all. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change last year had given us the grim warning that there's only 12 years for us to act to reverse the impacts of climate change. And what we have seen is that the people have spoken, they're saying we're feeling the impacts of climate change. And however, we see our government being in bed with those corporations that are not wanting to listen to what science says. So for the young people, it's their future, and that's what we've been working towards, to say, let's mitigate against climate change. The impacts thereof are so bad in that we have to act. And what's very good about the young people taking action is that they've listened to the scientists, and they are saying the future is ours. We have to save our future. We have to do something, and this is something that has been done. The African political heads are aware of that. Most of them are signatories to the Paris Agreement that says we have to immediately, urgently stop the climate change. But however, we'd want to see if politicians will listen to young people, and because the future is theirs.
Makoma, 12 years is not a long time to affect change in terms of climate change that we want to see. What would you like to see happen from the side of African governments to escalate the fight against climate change?
One of what the scientists have warned is around the burning of coal for generating electricity. So they said that has got to stop. And from the government in Africa, we have to do a just transition to a low-carbon development. And that just transition would come about when we change slowly, not generating electricity from coal and having massive investments in renewable energy technologies. And those massive investments in renewable energy technologies, it's not a difficult thing. We just need a political will, like you say, but the political heads in our government are still embedded and are still much more addicted to coal generation of electricity, business as usual. So they have to move away from that, because people are saying we're feeling the impacts of climate change. We don't have food. There's food insecurity due to the change in climate, and we have water shortages, particularly that we live in the southern African region, which is drought-stricken. So it's up to our government, particularly African governments, to ensure that legislation and policies that have been put together, and also the commitments that have made internationally are put into practice. There is implementation, and in that way we will find a political will, and that political will would be for them to be able to govern, to govern in such a way that they're governing for the future and not only for now.
Makoma, can you speak to us about some of the most difficult barriers or challenges you've experienced up to this point in the fight against climate change?
One of the challenges we are facing is that it is well known that the burning of coal contributes largely to climate change. But however, we see our government continuously, like South African government, continuously authorizing coal-fired power stations, which they know that they've made commitments to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but they're still continuing with it. And that's why we have taken the government on the the coal-fired power stations to say, how do you authorize a coal-fired power station when you know the climate change impacts are dire, and the greenhouse gas emissions that are going to come out from that power station are not going to assist us at all. So those are some of the challenges that we have, and we don't see a massive interest in investing in renewable energy technologies. Renewable energy would actually eradicate energy poverty and make people have access to energy, and also at the same time reduce greenhouse gas emissions that come from the use of generating electricity from coal-fired power stations.
Makoma, tell us why it's critical for governments everywhere and people everywhere to band together to fight climate change. We have erratic weather conditions, famine, drought, floods in some parts of the continent already.
We only have one planet. We don't have planet B. So we have to ensure that we protect this planet. We don't destroy it, because if we're destroying that, we're destroying our futures, we're destroying our lives, and we're living a very difficult life for the generations that are to come.
Thank you so much for your time on the SABC News Desk. That was Makoma Lekalakala, Earthlife Africa Director, joining us on the line. Time to take a short break. I'll be back with more news after this.